Welcome to this week's SIIA Tech Chat. Joining me today is Alex Hart, CEO of Avangate, which is now TechChat. They provide a global e-commerce and subscription billing platform. So Alex, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So I want to jump right in. You recently announced the acquisition, which is a global payment processor, and you're combining the companies under the TechChat brand. Can you talk about the significance of this combination, what drove it, and the impact customers?
Sure. Well, we have primarily been a merchant of record model provider of e-commerce services historically, which means that once the customer hits the buy button, we take over from there. So everything from the shopping cart to all the e-commerce services we provide in terms of revenue recovery and so on, subscription management, handling of taxes, handling of foreign exchange, and ultimately delivery of the payment as well. But there are a lot of clients out there in the e-commerce space that don't want us to do that much for them. They'd rather use us as a payment gateway, and perhaps they'd like to use us for certain components of what we do, but don't want to outsource everything to us. TechChat, on the other hand, is a payment gateway and the PSP provider. So they come in at the end of the process and deliver payments well. They handle foreign exchange and so on also, but they're really a payments processor and not an e-commerce player. We think there's a real opportunity to combine the two in a very seamless way and give people a much better experience. And so if you want fully outsourced e-commerce capabilities, we can do that. If you just want to use us for part of the value chain along the way, we want to be able to do that as well. And so we think this is a very good fit. We also think that it's important for us to get out of what has historically been a focus on North America and Europe. About 80% of our revenue comes from North America and Europe, about split 50-50 between the two. And only 20% is what we call the rest of the world. TechChat, on the other hand, gets 80% of its revenue from those other places. So Asia Pacific, Africa, the Middle East, et cetera, and Australia, New Zealand to a certain degree as well. We think it's important to get into those growing markets as quickly as we can, and TechChat gets us there very quickly.
So can you talk about the decision to combine under the TechChat brand as opposed to the Avangate brand?
Sure. Well, Avangate is obviously a well-known brand in certain markets and has a very strong history. The company celebrated its 10th anniversary last year, so it's not a decision we made lightly. But the fact of the matter is that Avangate is not significant in the terms of describing what we do. It's a great name. It has the advantage of starting with an A, but aside from that, it has very few advantages in terms of marketability. TechChat, on the other hand, is very descriptive. I think it gives people a pretty clear sense for what we do and what we can do for them. And so combining under TechChat was a fairly straightforward decision in that regard.
Right. Now, for the past 3 years, Avangate has been named to Deloitte's North America Technology Fast 500. Mm-hmm. What is driving your tremendous growth? I mean, I see you're making the change with the acquisition to get into these other markets, but you're already, without even doing that, you're growing tremendously. What's driving that?
We have, and we're in a very good market. The fact of the matter is that we have focused purely on digital goods. The company came out of the security space. In fact, the company originally was in the antivirus software business. After figuring out how to sell globally, realized that was a bigger opportunity than being yet another security company. So we actually sold that business to Microsoft many years ago, focused on e-commerce as a business. And the fact that we do everything for someone and allow someone to get up and running almost instantaneously is very important. There are a lot of people that build great software but have no idea how to sell it outside of their home country, nor do they want to develop the expertise to do that. So we're a great option for them. And there are a lot of larger companies that have other things to do that might have the capabilities or resources internally, but see a great advantage to using us to do that. So we're in a great space. E-commerce obviously is still early in the day, despite the fact that it's growing rapidly. And so we see a lot of upside in the market.
Well, the SaaS market itself continues to grow, and e-commerce certainly plays a big role in that growth. What do you think companies need to do to succeed over the next few years?
I think companies in every business need to focus on what their customers want as opposed to what they want. Too often, companies will try to convince customers that what they have is what they should want, when in fact, I think you're far better served by figuring out what customers want and providing it to them. In fact, we are acquiring TechChat in part so that we can do that. We have a lot of conversations with especially larger billers, larger merchants that would like to work with us and like our capabilities, but don't want to do everything with us. They'd like us to serve them with a different model with more payment flexibility. TechChat gives us that payment model flexibility and allows us to really listen to our customers as we have been, and not just try to convince them that they don't really want that model, that the merchant of record model is superior. And it is for some, but it's not for everyone. So we like the fact that we now will be able to give them whatever they want. And we think that in the end, companies will be successful if they figure out how to make a living providing customers with what they really want.
Well, we live in a customer-driven world today, that's for sure. So as I want to end with that actually. So as a CEO, how do you ensure or really develop a customer-centric organization? I mean, you have hundreds of employees. How do you get them to really focus on what the customer wants and the customer first?
Well, I think talking about customers and success stories, places where we could have done better, and celebrating those success stories, and then talking about the things we've done poorly and could improve is the first step. So making sure that people understand that this is very important, that without the customer, no one needs to be here. And it really isn't that hard, to be honest. I think this organization's been focused on it far longer than I've been here. Same is true of TechChat. They would not have been around as long as they have been without a fairly fanatical focus on customers. And we also look to other companies that are great at serving customers. So we have some very able competitors, but they aren't necessarily setting the standard for what the average consumer or small business expects. I think that's being set by Amazon, by Google, by Alipay, by Apple, a number of others that are, much larger organizations spending millions of dollars every year on innovation and really establishing what the customer experience needs to look like. And we try to be fast followers. We're not big enough to innovate at the same level, although within our space we are quite innovative and think we've done a great job, especially in melding subscription management and payment in a way that's really compelling for our customers. But we really look to what others are doing outside of our immediate space for clues as to where things are headed. And that helps us maintain that customer focus.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. For more information on TechChat, Avangate, and SIIA, please visit our websites, and we will see you next week for SIIA Tech Chat.